தெரியலையே எனக்கு. ஓகே மேம். லைவ் வந்துருச்சு மேம். I will start, ma'am. Good evening to one and all present here. I am Dr. Utra, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Jaya College of Arts and Science. On behalf of our department and Department of Tamil, in collaboration with IQAC, I welcome you all for this online faculty development program, Day 2. I now like to introduce Dr. S. Priyadashini, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KCS Kasinada College of Arts and Science. She has been working here since 10 years, I think. Then she has been already working in Soka Ikeda College of Arts and Science for Women for 7 years, and she serves as a member of IQAC committee and also member of editorial committee. She was a soft skill trainer for PG students in University of Madras. Then she was also a member of exam committee from 2009 to 2010. As a resource person, I think I know her for past 5 years, I think, ma'am, 5 to 6 years. Yeah. As a resource person, she has been invited for many seminars in various colleges. She has presented more than 15 papers in national and international conference. She has published more than 15 papers in ISBN and ISSN course journals, and she has also worked for the textbook preparation for English, for physical English for physical sciences, that is in Tangshe, in association with Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore in 2020. And she has also spoken about that in the online orientation programs. And coming to her academic, she has done her MA qualification in Qaeda Millet and MPhil in University of Madras in 2006. And she has done her PhD under the guidance of Dr. Anita Balakrishnan, Associate Professor, Department of English, Queen Mary's College. And I think today is her topic is going to be like enhancing reading and writing skills and its techniques in recent trends. Uh, okay, ma'am. Now I give this to your presence, and you can start your presentation, ma'am.
Thank you, Uttara ma'am, for your brief introduction.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Happy evening to one and all. அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கங்கள். As I've seen so many Tamil department professors are also part of this FCP program. And first and the foremost, I would like to thank Chairman, Secretary, Vice Chairman, Joint Secretary, Dr. Guhan, Principal and Vice Principal of Jaya College of Arts and Science for inviting me for this FTP program. And I would also like to thank Head Department of English and IQSC Coordinator, staff and students of Tamil and English Department for giving me this chance to meet many professors from all over the state and country. Especially this particular topic, enhancing reading and writing techniques. Before going into the topic, I would like to talk about the situation that we are in today, especially as a professors, what we are facing in the classroom every day. Maybe I can say that I can divide this, that is BC and AC, that is before COVID and after COVID. Earlier too, we had some problems in teaching language. And now we are finding it even more difficult. I think most of the professors here who are in this FTP will agree with me in this particular thought. Earlier, we tell the students, just listen to what we say. The students who are bringing mobile phones will be penalized. And now, after COVID, the situation has totally changed. For example, we have WhatsApp groups where we send our syllabus, lesson plans, and notes, everything through WhatsApp. And they don't want to write, isn't it? And as well, we are having Google Classrooms through which, once again, we share most of our notes to the students, or the question paper, earlier year question papers, everything we share through the Google Classroom. And even our classrooms, from the chalk and talk method, we have changed into technology based classrooms. For example, we are using ICT enabled classrooms and so on. And especially for the past 2 years, I think we all know about Non Mudalvan course, isn't it? Earlier, when we see students use mobile in the classroom, we almost scold them and penalize them, punish them. Now, we ourselves go and ask in the class, did you bring mobile phones here? And the students say, yes, ma'am, we have brought mobile phones today. We'll say, yes, good. Today you can do the midterm test, or we can do some courses self study in through Non-Moodle. Sometimes when a student says that no, that he or she haven't brought their mobiles, we simply say that, why do you, why you did not bring? I don't know. You have to bring it. So we tell the students to bring mobile phones. And a few days back, one of our colleagues in our class, when she was asking to do something on the mobile, a student was playing, instead of doing that particular non-Mudalman course, she was playing in the mobile phones. So we face so many hard situations in the class. So amid of this, teaching the students to learn a language is the toughest task that the language teachers face today. Earlier, only learning English is a problem to the students. Now, learning their mother tongue, Tamil, is also a problem. For example, uh, in the last semester, I think in most of the colleges, students failed more in Tamil than English. So, learning a language itself has become tough for students. The students did not understand that a failure in language is equal to failure in education. Now we are going to see. We cannot just do away with gadgets now. They bring mobile phones, they bring some gadgets. So, as a teacher, what we can do is, with the help of these gadgets and other technologies or techniques that is available in the modern world, how as teachers we can develop the communication in students. Let us go into the topic, communication, which is a primary key to success in any profession, whether you are a teacher or whether you are a team leader, wherever you have to communicate well to be successful. Especially being a teacher means you should be good in communication skills so that we can be a successful teacher. Actually, communication is nothing but which helps us to use the language in an effective manner. Actually, they say that many can talk, but only few can communicate. That is, which is making the others understanding what we say. The communicator is the one who sends the message, the receiver who receives the message and understand what we say. Yes. In communication, we have passive aggressive, assertive, which is nothing but the passive communicators are just, they don't express themselves, and aggressive who will just speak their mind. Passive aggressive is a kind of communicators where they try to be aloof. In some particular places, they'll express themselves. Somebody who are always assertive, who express themselves in a clear and direct manner. So we want more of this assertive communicators, especially in class. We should develop those assertive communicators, and especially when we talk about communication, we cannot communicate without learning these four skills, that is, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And today we are seeing more about reading and writing. I think in the coming days, um Dr. Shamala will talk about listening and speaking. As they say, if you listen a lot, you can speak well. If you read a lot, you can write, isn't it? So I think, yes, the important stuff, that is how to improve reading. I think the most toughest task for a teacher to reading. They say it is a habit of a bygone age. Yes, it is a habit of a bygone age for many students, especially the younger generation today. But how can we make them read again? Visiting libraries and carrying books and reading every time, it's not possible. But they carry their mobile phones with them. So, with the help of it, how can we develop this particular reading skills in them? How can we motivate the students to read? Actually, there's a famous quote which is said by Mark Twain, which says that buying a book and keep it in the shelf is equal to a child holding a candle while he is asleep, isn't it? By getting a book and not reading it, it's totally waste. I don't think our students don't even um, ready to spend in buying the books, because we find it every day when you ask student to get a book, get a text, almost we have to say that every day, and almost we say in the end, no problem, I know you're going to not going to buy it, I'll share the text in the WhatsApp or in your class group to please take at least take a printout. This is what we say. So for these kind of students, how can we make it more relevant? That is, how can we make them read? And we have, for example, if a lesson is given to them, we can relate it to them. For example, if there is a prose like this, which is how I taught my grandmother to read, which is written by Sudhamurthy. And we can tell a student, did your grandmother know to read and write? If at all she doesn't know to do it, how will you help her to do it? And when you relate them, when you make the particular text which is relevant to them, we can at least push them to read or make them interest in reading. And here, make it personal, and especially uh, guide the students to ask questions before reading. That will help them to connect what they read. They'll have a prior knowledge about what the text is about. In this particular text, that is how I taught my grandmother to read. That particular text, Sudhamurthy talks about how when she was 12 years old, how she used to stay with her grandmother, and the transport facilities which were not that much frequent in that area, and how would she like to get the newspaper only in the afternoon, the weekly magazines only they'll get on the next day, and how they'll be waiting for the bus to come to get the newspaper so that they can get that and read. And she talks about how she used to play and what will her grandmother do to her, and how they enjoy a wedding. So like that, she gives an different incidents how she spent her time in her grandmother's house. So we can make it personal. You can talk to a student. Have you ever went to your grandmother's house? How did you enjoy? What are the things you enjoy in their house? So you can make it personal and interesting. How, we have to make the student bit interesting. For example, in that particular topic, um, she talks about a wedding, how she has attended a cousin's wedding, and how does she enjoy. We can ask a student from have you recently attended a wedding? What are the things you did there? How did you enjoy? So you can relate it to that. Make it required. That is, make them understand what mm, why they have to read. For example, in this particular story, the author talks about the moral values, and the main theme of this particular story is no age, that is, at any age they can read. No age bar for education. That is what the lesson which is given in this particular story. So we can tell them, like if at all you find your neighbor who doesn't know to read and write, will you help them? Like that, we can engage the student himself with the lesson, whatever we are teaching, and we can make the students to involve him or her in that particular lesson, and we can make them to at least read it, make it public. Maybe you can ask the student turns to introduce the readings. Maybe you can ask them to read it on the previous day. You can every day you can take minimum 2 to 3 minutes for a student. You can ask one from a boy or one girl from the class. You can pick them and you can ask them what is the topic which they read last night. Can you say, if we ask them to say more, definitely they will not uh, speak in the class. We can say, you can just say 1 or 2 sentences from what you have read. When you ask them to say 1 or 2 sentences, definitely I think they will say. Yes, activity. We can give different activities in a class. For example, we can say like after that particular lesson, whatever lesson that we took on the class, maybe we can say, have you ever read something like that earlier? Or can you relate with any of the movies which you have watched recently, or any of the shows you have watched it? Can you compare the two, and can you, because when you talk about the movies, shows, that will make the students a bit interested in that particular topic, so that they will come forward and talk about that. So we can make some activity in the class so that they will get involved. Okay. Just I'm sharing some of the apps that is for writing skills. For example, Grammarly, Quiz English, and Kahoot. So these are the apps that is available for improving their reading skills and writing skills, and LSRW skills, so that they can use it. Nowadays, we cannot do away with technology, so that we can make them, instead of making them buy a book, we can ask them to go use these particular apps, because everybody has a mobile phone with them. We cannot just say that nobody, we can say that nobody is without mobile. So we can ask them to download these kind of apps, and then they can use it, while they're working, or while they're traveling, they're listening to music through Spotify. So instead they can listen to something, or they can maybe they can use some Grammarly. They can write something, type something, and then they can see it in the Grammarly app. They can throw it in the Grammarly, and then they can check that whether their writing is correct or not. Now expand how you can make the student read. That is, reading is a key, because when you read, you can write well. Actually, a language cannot be taught to anyone, isn't it? I think you agree with me. A language cannot be taught to anybody. Your language has to be grasped or imbibed in you. If you want to be a very good speaker, you have to listen a lot. If you want to write well, you have to read a lot. So expand. One should expand on own learning topic of their personal interest, because when you're a beginner, you cannot go for some extensive read. Out of your personal interest, we like reading. For example, I don't like action based novels or text. I like something melodramatic. So I like works like Jane Austen, Anita Bruckner, something like that. So whatever I like out of my interest, I read. Maybe someone here in the group might like action movies, scientific fictions, or short stories that talks about religion. So whatever that you're interested in, out of your personal interest, you can make them read. Or we can tell them the novels. For example, when somebody says Dhanush is their favorite actor, we can say that particular movie, that Asuran which he has acted, which is based on the movie Vetkai, so that you can take the um, novel and you can read. And recently, um, not recently, I can say 5 or 6 years back, I came across a novel called Vadivasa, which I read in English, and I was so mesmerized by that particular story and the way that the author has written it. It was translated, it was originally written in Tamil and it was translated into English. I read the translated version, and as I loved that particular work so much, I just want to read. Oh, even in English, it is so mesmerizing. How the author would have written in Tamil. So I read the Tamil version too, and it was much more fascinating. So out of your personal interest, so that you can, nobody can force you to read. Only out of your personal interest, you can improve your reading skill, and especially creative thinking. So you have to develop the critical thinking in students. As a teacher, we have to develop that particular critical thinking. For example, when you're narrating a story to the particular class, you can say, if you are the author, what you would do? Do you like this ending, or do you want to add something to it? For example, there was a story by Rabindranath Tagore, Postmaster, which is a very famous story where the author talks about the temporariness of the world. He works in a place called Ulampur as a postmaster. He lives all alone. He lives away from his family. He misses his family. And there's a small girl, Ratan, who helps him a lot while he was there in that particular village. And almost he talks to her as if she is a sister, and she too will talk to him as a brother, and almost accept his family as hers. One day, when he decides to quit his job and go back to his village, Ratan will also pack up things and simply ask that, I think you will also take me there. But the postmaster will think about the temporariness of the world, and he'll say, no, what are you saying? How can you come along with me? He moves out. And I remember when I was teaching this in the class in 2009 or 10, and the whole class erupted and said, Madam, he doesn't like this ending. Ask him to take his boat and go back and take Ratan along with him. So we can, what do you call give them a different point of view. You can ask the student's opinion if the author's ending is right. And we can make them to expand their vocabulary. So the most toughest task, I think, that is learning new words. One can enrich their language just by learning new words. Earlier, we used to say read a newspaper every day, read at least 10 pages, so that you can develop your reading skill. Yes, but nowadays everybody has a mobile. There are so many, they can download thesaurus, dictionary, and whatever they want. Every day we can ask them to learn one new word. You can ask them to read that particular word, and we should make them to use in their day to day language which they use. That is, when they are communicating with their friends, they should talk in English and they should use that particular word which they have learned that day in when they are speaking. For example, as a teacher, you can also introduce one new word every day. That is something very different. For example, clandestine, which is something called secret, and lunatic, mad, a maroon, which means a person who is stranded in a lonely place. So, like that, you can introduce, a teacher can introduce new words every day. Especially, they shouldn't search for the words from what they teach, whether it is Tamil or English. From what they teach, they can tell a new word, and they say if you practice this particular word in your normal usage, you will not forget it. So like that, we can make them expand their vocabulary. Yes, when it comes to spelling, it is hard because the writing skill is almost, we can say that only in the exams we are seeing the students write. Otherwise, we cannot see the students write spelling. Especially after this SMS language, they use that in their everyday life, isn't it? They just type so fast, just like that, and they use all those shortcuts. And in many of our exam papers, I think we witness, they write in that short, um, in an abbreviated manner. Most of the student doesn't know the spelling of because is BECAUS. Simply they say BECOZ. In many of the answer papers we see, they write these kind of spellings. And I remember sometimes somebody said, Madam, please DM. I said, what is DM? And they said, ma'am, direct message. That is called DM. So, like everywhere they use this shortcuts and they use that in their answer books too. So we should teach the children not to use that. If you use that, they will never learn the language. For example, and also they use this particular Tanglish. Neither they are learning Tamil nor English. At least if they type in Tamil, they learn the Tamil language well. At least if they type fully in English, they will learn to type in English. Neither they learn Tamil nor English in typing such a Tanglish. And we should teach them, as a teacher should teach them to write without any spelling errors. And we should also tell them only if they learn this, they can be good in their academics, they can learn well and they can score good marks. Yes. So we can make some activity here. For example, here there is an activity to read. We can show these kind of slides in the class and you can ask them to read. Instead of reading red, blue, white, yellow, you can make them read green, red, black, blue, purple, red, black, red, yellow, yellow, green, blue, blue, orange, red, green, purple, yellow. So you could see instead of reading what is given, they have read the colors. So sometimes we can make them interested in reading. And even in the classroom, whether it is Tamil or English, we can ask I think we do this as a teacher, most of us do this, we are giving turns for them to read. And they find it difficult even to pronounce the basic words, both in Tamil and English. They are not even aware of the basic words which they should have learned in elementary. As famously said, it is better late than never. At least we should teach them to read fluently in classrooms. That we should do regularly. And this I'm not going to touch so much. Just what is intensive reading, extensive, and skimming and scanning. Intensive reading, which talks about a close reading of a short text, especially in an comprehension. We can just read a small passage and we can answer just of the basic understanding. Extensive reading, which is to gain fluency, it cannot be done in the class. They have to go home and then they have to develop those extensive reading. For example, they can use a Kindle app and they can read the novels or some short stories which they are interested in. And skimming, generally skimming and used to get a quick understanding of what is there. Scanning, which is a sub skill of reading, which collects a particular information from the text. Yes. And reading as a skill. So, how can we develop? When you're taking a lesson, for example, there's a lesson called words, and you can ask a student, okay, what is a word? What does it mean? And you can ask question, what are the duties of a verger? Verger is a person official who works in a church. And you can say, okay, you can ask questions. Okay, who is a verger? What are his duties? Why author has written such a lesson? What is the main idea? Give the sequence of the story. What happened to verger? Who is an uneducated man who works in a church and he was thrown out there. And then after that, he was jobless, and then he decides to do a business. He becomes a successful man, and a reporter asks him, okay, you're a very successful businessman now, you're uneducated. As being uneducated, you are this much successful in your business. What you would have done if at all you are educated? He simply answers, I would have been just a verger. I would have been a tender or a caretaker in a church. So you can ask the student to sequence it 1, 2, and 3. What is the effect? That is what they have learned, or inferences. That is what is the um, uh, like conclusion which they got after looking into the reasoning or the evidence. What do they predict? And you can ask one of the students to summarize, and fact and opinion. And you can say, actually, the author has said, even this guy is uneducated and he has become so successful. Do you think really a person who is just educated, will be sticking to a job, or a person who is doing a business will be that much successful? Do you agree with it? Like that, you can just pose some questions and you can ask them to connect. Can you tell some of a businessman who's not at all educated but who has made a successful businessman? And you can ask himself to visualize, and you can ask him to read for more clarity. Like that, we can give bit of um, we can ask the students to look into it in a very different point of view. Yes. Okay. There are different levels of reading. I'm just going to just read that. And here the elementary reading, inspectional reading, analytical reading, and um, so in elementary, we are going to see the developing the basic literary skills, which focuses on decoding the words. That is what is being said. Inspectional reading, which talks about the skimming and the pre-reading of it, and overall structure and main points. Analytical reading is how you evaluate. And syntopical reading, which talks about the comparing and synthesizing information, especially from as a simple topic to a sophisticated skill, especially which is for advanced scholars, especially when you are taking a text for your research. And how will you look into it in a different perspective. Yes. And then we can say that we can tell the student, read as much as you can. Don't stick on yourself to this particular reading. Read whatever you get. Whatever you like, you start reading. You like Stardust, read. No problem. You learn what is there in the Bollywood, all the dirty stories of Bollywood. Let it be. But read. You like religious things, you like scientific magazines, whatever you like, start reading. Whatever you get, a pamphlet on the road, whatever that is written on the bus, or when you're walking, what is written on the wall, just read, just go through it and try to read quickly. Learn to read, because when you practice reading, automatically your reading speed will get increased. The more variety, it's better. That is, as I told earlier, you read a lot from the different level. Moral stories, there are values, personality enrichment stories. You talk about the scientific researchers, anything, whatever you like, you start reading. So when you read a lot, definitely that will help you a lot. Okay, here literal reading, and yes, I think we can skip this. Yes, how to improve reading skills in students. The critical reading skills, in which we can ask the student to comprehend. We can give a small passage in the class and we can make the student to read it, and the new words which they come across. We can ask them to learn the meaning of the particular new words which they have come across, and especially we can give them some time, stipulated time. For example, if you give a small passage, we can give them 10 minutes. And if they have 5 or 6 questions which are given below that, we can ask them to answer the questions. That is, they can improve the speed. Maybe first day you give them 15 minutes. The next day you give them a bit more, a bigger passage, and you reduce the time. The next day you give them 10 minutes. So try to improve the speed so that they know that every day that they have to practice it, and if they practice it in their house, they can do it even better. And in comprehension, what are the things we should do? That is, understanding what you have read, you should practice the techniques that will help you to improve this particular reading skill. So, what are the things you have to do? You have to focus what is there, you have to look at the sequence, you have to identify the purpose, and you have to draw the mental picture of it in your mind. You have to scan through it and you have to summarize what is being said, and then you have to check it up and once again to reread it to give the right answer. Yes, vocabulary. So, how to improve the vocabulary? The words you know and understand. Especially when you ask a student to read, don't ask them to go and look for the meaning immediately. Try to make them understand from the context of what they are reading the meaning of the words. Otherwise, if they think that it is really hard without understanding that particular word, they cannot go any further. Only then we should ask the student to go and look for the meaning. Otherwise, they can note it down and keep it. Whenever they find free time, they can do it. If they keep on looking into the dictionary and want to know the meaning of it, they will lose the interest in that particular word. And if at all they need, they can go to the dictionary and check it for reference. Okay, speed. They should improve the reading speed. It comes only through practice. As I remember, once I was told as a student, one should read minimum 150 pages for an hour. You're an average reader. One who reads 200 pages per hour is a good reader. I found it very tough because it doesn't come mm, in an easy manner. You have to practice a lot. You have to improve the reading rate only by practice. You have to practice on the entire paragraph. Time your reading. Put the goals. Okay. Last month I read 10 pages in 20 minutes. This time I should read in 15 minutes. So maybe you should reduce the timing, focus yourself ahead as you read. Don't try to deviate yourself from reading, practice it. It is not so easy as we know. Earlier they said that a person can concentrate for 15 minutes, but now after all this influence of the electronic items and gadgets, it has come down to even 6 or 7 minutes. They say that after 7 or 8 minutes, a person's mind cannot concentrate. So they can just deviate for a moment or two, and then they can come back and they can focus on reading. Okay, this pre-reading. So pre-reading, which talks about the difficult vocabulary, you can give the difficult words to the students. They can come to the class um, knowing those meaning of those words, so that while you're taking class they can understand. You can ask them to skim the gist of it, so that they can predict what this particular lesson is all about, and when they're reading it in detail, they will understand it better. And post reading activities, what are the activities we can give? We can ask the student to write a paragraph about it, or after every class what we can do is we can ask the student to write 1 or 2 sentences that what they have read in that particular hour. So we can ask them to uh, write about it, or sometimes every time student might not be interested in writing. So one day if you can ask them to write, the other day you can ask them to speak. Okay. Reading comprehension, maybe you can just say who are the characters, what the story is about, where the setting is, what is the goal of the main character, what is the problem which they encounter, what is the main plot, what is the solution there, and what is the main theme of the story. We can ask one question to one student, and then they'll be interested to tell us that. Okay, now what are the comprehension strategies? We can ask them to summarize, we can question them, we can ask them to map the stories, we can monitor them and question answer, graphic organizers, we can make them the mental imagery and prior knowledge will be given to them. Yes, I would like to just share you this particular information. Please note it down. These are the websites which will help the students to improve their reading skills. Especially when we are studying, the only option which is left to us is going to library and taking books and reading it. I remember as a student going to British Council every Saturday and getting books, and we'll make a target. Okay, in this 1 week we have to read this particular book, and the next week you have to go and get it. But nowadays, that's not at all needed. You could see there were so many websites like this are available, where they can go on. It's a free for the students. If they want to, it's free for everybody, not only for students. Actually, if you want to read, if you love reading, so these are the websites that is available. Please, if you want, you can note it down, and I will leave the PPT with the organizers. If you want, you can note it down, and you can give it, share it to your students, so that the interested students will definitely go to these kinds of websites, and then they can read it. Okay, and we can give some activities. Yes. Even for listening and speaking, I'm sharing a few AI innovations are here, and many websites and apps are here. You can, yeah, our students can make use of it for reading and writing. Here you have BBC Learning English, BBC Council English Score, Kindle, ReadMe, News and Levels, Wordscapes that are available in writing, BBC Learning English, BBC Council English Score. You have Hemingway Editor, Pro Writing Ed, Proofreader, Grammar Checker, Google Docs. All these are available to improve your writing skills. That's right. Writing is tough, isn't it? Everything is tough in the modern world, and even writing is the most toughest thing. I think we have come across this situation in the classroom. You tell a students, you take a class and then you tell them that the next day they can write a test on that particular topic. You find half of them was absent in the classroom. You ask them why so many were absent in the class. Their friends will say, "Ma'am, you have said that today they're going to take a class test, right? So that is why half of them were not there." So making them right is a uh, the hardest thing that the teacher could practice. Though I cannot communicate with you through this particular channel, I hope I'm conveying the message in a right sense to you. And especially when I talk about writing, um, the children will understand the importance of writing only when they were writing their resumes or when they write a letter to their principal or their class teacher. We find with so many mistakes. In Tamil, they write a real blunder in their spellings. And in English, even more, there is no grammar there, and they can't even write their address in a right sense, and they don't even know to write the subject correctly. So we find that even for writing a simple letter, they cannot do it on their own. So writing, which is a practice of combining words to form coherent thought. Great writing goes a step further. It involves using clear and compelling language to convey ideas that deeply inform or inspire. Grammar is very important. I've read in a book that if a person is not good at grammar, it's better that he shouldn't take up the job of a writer. So the basic grammar, the punctuation, the choice of words, the tone which they are using, and it is important to proofread it. Though we have written it, it is always or it is right to go for a proofread. Without proofreading it, we shouldn't give it to the person who we have to give. All play a very important role to write it in a perfect manner. That is to write in a so the four types of contents here: instructional writing, like how you write a blog post, and your installation guides, your handbooks, manual. This is all comes under instructional writing. Informational writing, like meeting agendas, newsletters, research reports, and transactional writings. That is, if, nowadays the art of writing has gone. We don't write letters anymore. We write only emails. So instead of teaching letter writing, I think we have to teach the students email writing nowadays. Emails and dismissal notices, circulars, forms, invoices, letters of recommendation, internal memos. So all these are transactional writings which a student should know. Persuasive writing, like yes, marketing. You have to persuade somebody to buy a product. So it has to be your writing should be well. You have to persuade the customer to get your product. That is your marketing letters, your sales announcement, sponsored social media spots, ads, products, all this kind of thing needed persuasive writing. So it is really important to know to write well. As I said earlier, it is writing is losing its sheen because of the mobile culture. Like nobody even wants to type in the mobile. They want to send the voice message and visual medium. Everything you have. Earlier we used to get a newspaper and we read it from the top to bottom so that we nowadays, we don't want to spend time in reading, so we listen to news. Lack of practice We don't write. Any student doesn't even write. You ask them why they did not take up their first term or midterm or the model examination, they'll simply say, "Ma'am, we'll write in the university exams." So just straight away they have to write only on the university examination because they don't want to practice at all. So they find it very, very difficult to um, write. According to them, they just think it's a waste of time. There are several stages in the writing process. Writing doesn't come easily. There is a pre-writing process. You have to draft the writing, and then after drafting, we have to revise it, and after revising, we have to edit it, and then only it comes as a final product. So writing is not so easy as anyone thinks. It is the most toughest stuff. Even we find it, isn't it, when we write our MA projects, when we look at it after getting your PhD or now at this particular stage, when you look at your MA project, we ourselves think, oh, I have written something like this. Definitely, I should have written better. So when we revise it again and again, definitely there is a possibility of improving it again. So when we revise it once, yeah, it is good. Then we do it 2 or 3 times, it is even more better. So it is important to revise, edit, and then only your language get improved. So what is this pre-writing? So pre-writing, like what can we say? This you can ask a student to narrow down on a topic, and you can ask them to write, and you can tell them what is the purpose of their writing, what is the tone should be, in which point of view they should write. You can guide them. You can write them in simple present tense, and you can ask them to explore the topic. You can ask them to make a plan. For example, we can give a simple plan. Um, we can ask a student, okay, your class is about to go on a excursion. Which place do you want to go? Why? So you reason out. So you can um, write a paragraph about it, and you can bring it. And you can ask the other one to, maybe his friend, to suggest the other place, and he has to list out the reasoning for it. So we can give them simple topics which they come across every day, so that they can write with interest, maybe at the beginning. And sometimes we can give them simple words about their friends. They can write. We can ask them to start with just write 2 words. If their friend is, for example, my name is Priya, I can say punctual Priya. Somebody is Vanita, they can say vibrant Vanita, or Divya, dramatic Divya. So like that, they can add an adjective to their friend's name, and then they can write. Even in Tamil, they can do it like that, so that they can learn what is adjective. And one day you can say, no, I would like to go to market and buy. They have to use only noun in that. So one can say carrot, one can say, the other can say potato. So they can use only noun, so that they are learning to write, and as well as they are also learning the grammar. So like that we can give them simple task, and then we can write. So in the writing stage, they should know to create essays. Maybe they should give a title. They can compose a draft. Draft is, as I said, it's just the first version or a rehearsal, and they should plan and revise. For this, we can give them some topics like table fable. That is, we can give them like hints. We can give them 10 words or 15 words, and then they can make a story out of those words, table fable. So they'll be really interested to do it. They can create, they themselves are creators there, and they will come out with a nice dramatic story. So we can improve their writings by these kind of interesting methods. And when they write it, just don't simply accept it. Ask them, give it back to them, and say, you give them an encouraging word. Yes, you have written well. I think the ending can be a bit better, or you can improve it a little bit better. You can ask them whether they are, there is unity in the paragraph, um, and they can go back to the main point and then they can discuss it. So, like that, you can make them to revise. For example, does everything refer back to the main point or the topic sentence or something they can, whether there is coherence. So all this they can see. And here, yes, the end I wanted to just come to this particular resume skills. So being a student, especially whenever they come to the final year, I think the teacher's job is to help the students secure a job. And writing resumes is another important skill that they have to learn. And yes, I would like to just talk about this particular apps. Here are some examples. So here, I think many of our students want to uh, learn this art of writing a resume. So here are these kind of websites which is available. That is resume.com, Live Career, Resume.io, and this Canva. I'll tell you, this Canva is really interesting. If you just give them the details over there about your details about your name, your education, and your experience, all these particular details you give, it itself will format a resume and give it to you. Many of our students find it difficult. You can easily come across this particular statement from a student. Why you did not attend that particular interview? Ma'am, I haven't prepared for the resume yet, ma'am. So that's why I'm waiting. I think it's not ready, it's not perfect, so I'm finding it difficult to attend the interview. So if you just tell them these are websites are available to make their task easy, they definitely do it with so much of interest. Um, and with this, I think I'm saying bidding adieu to you and thank you for your patient listening. And once again, I thank the organizers of this particular FDP who is giving me this particular opportunity to uh, meet you all. Thank you. Upra madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Can
Thank
you
you.
hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Thank you, Dr. For your wonderful speech on enhancing reading and writing techniques used in the recent trends, and also talking about the non-Muthalwan scheme, which has helped the students to use mobile phones inside the classroom, and also about the reading and writing skills, and the examples which you gave from the book was really relevant for our faculty members, and of course for everyone who are listening here. And it was very interesting, and it was a very clear and easy explanation you gave, and it was really enhanced the speech, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
And okay. And I also thank our chairman, Dr. Kanagaraj, Mrs. Vijay Kumari, secretary, ma'am, and our dear principal, Dr. Guhan, and our dear vice principal, sir, Dr. Vijay Kumar, and our HOD, Dr. Pralain Palzia, Department of English, IQAC coordinator, and my special thanks to Dr. Sudha, the HOD, Department of Tamil, and also an NSS officer, and all my dear faculty members of Jaya College of Arts and Science. I also thank everyone who are listening to this wonderful lecture, and also the faculty members who have joined from various colleges, and the research scholars from various departments, and I also thank everyone who are listening. Thank you so much, and for the technicians who are working behind this. And thank you all. Thank you, one and all. Now, tomorrow we will be having an FDP program at same 6:30 p.m. today, and it will be presented by Dr. Shamla Devi, Assistant Professor in English, and from Chelamal Women's College. We'll send you the link, and now I will give you the feedback form and attendance in the WhatsApp group. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Madam, for this
Thank you. Thank you.
opportunity.